holy. Good morning, CSL Parker. Say hi to Luke.
Hello.
Halpin right here, joining me. We're going to sing I Am Open. Stand if you are able. Some of you are standing. I am open. I am open. I am open to receive love in you and me. Here we go. I am open. I am open. I am open to receive the love in you and me. I am open. Oh, I am open. I am open to receive the love in you and me. Let's sing that again. I am open. You look really good. Here we go. I am open. I am open. I am open to receive the love in you and me. I am open. I am open. I am open to receive the love in you and me. Let's know it for each other. You are open to receive the love in you and me. You are open. You are open. You are open to receive the love in you and me. You are open. You are open. You are open to receive the love in you and me. We are open. Oh, we are open. We are open. Oh, we are open to receive the love in you and me. We are open. We are open. We are open to receive the love in you and me. 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 We are open to the love in you and me.
So once again, welcome. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Parker. I hope you feel the openness, the love of welcome as you walked in this morning. I'm David Howard. It's my pleasure to be the minister here and my pleasure to welcome you. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, in your life journey, we want you to know that you are welcome here. We embrace you in love, and we are so glad that you chose to be with us this morning. So as we begin this morning, I have a couple of things I want to share with you. I want to remind you, or at least maybe let you know, those of you who are part of the men's and women's ministry groups, that we're going to be meeting next Sunday. It's the first Sunday of the month instead of the second Sunday? So next week we'll be meeting, so if you're interested in being a part of those groups, we're actually going to be joining together next week and doing a labyrinth walk and explaining the labyrinth and understanding that a little bit better. So everybody's going to be joining together. It won't be separate. So please join us for that. Another thing I want to remind you of or invite you into is that, we have these beautiful altars that are created every week. Some of our members here have volunteered to do that, and they do such a beautiful job. Janice DeBaca has done it this month, so thank you, Janice. There she is, back there. But guess what? Nobody has signed up for next month.
Oh, dear.
So,
Oh, dear.
there's a great opportunity for somebody to step up and do that. So we talked about maybe doing something a little smaller. I know when you see things like this, it's like, oh, I don't have that creative ability. I don't know how to do that. So, I mean, I would probably be in that same boat. But what about if we just do something small with a little flowers, a little candle, something like that? And maybe you could think about doing that. So if you're willing and interested in doing that, please talk to Kenny over here. Kenny, if you're willing to be a part of that. What else do we have to announce today? Oh yeah, the affirmations. Our practitioners are creating affirmation cards, and they've been passed around in the offering basket and been asked you to take one. But now they're in little cups on the side of the offering basket. So please take one of those as the offering basket comes around, and use that as your affirmation for the week. Just a gift from our practitioners. And speaking of practitioners, we do have practitioners here today with the white stoles on, so they are here to hold you in prayer and consciousness. So ask them if you would afterwards. We have 2 classes coming up. Luann Hillsland is facilitating a class on grief, and she told me this morning that there may be room for one more in the class. And if you're interested in being a part of that, you can talk to Luann or sign up at the table back there. Luann's right back there being our greeter this morning, so if you're interested in that, I don't know what I'm doing. Is that me? So please talk to her about that. And Joe is actually facilitating a class based on the Wizard of Oz, the story of the Wizard of Oz and the journey that represents for us. And I would just say I've done a series of talks on the Wizard of Oz. It's a very powerful story, as many of you know, the mythology of all of that's involved in that and how it really mirrors our journey. So if you're interested in that, please talk to Joe afterwards as well. So now we have a couple of business items, recognition items to take care of this morning. I want to invite Dr. Vern up because he is our Dean of Education. And we want to acknowledge that and the great job that you're doing is that. And we have completed a couple of classes recently, and we want to acknowledge those who have participated in that, which is this. Those of you who are part of, we want to invite everybody up at once. If you're part of the Resurrecting Jesus class, please step up to the front so we can acknowledge you. And thank you for being a part of that class. I had the opportunity, along with Joe, to facilitate that class. And so I'm going to ask Joe if he would be willing to share the certificates with you. Come on over. For me, it was a great opportunity to get to know these beautiful people a little bit better and to have the sharing that we got to enjoy with that. And so, again, it was a beautiful exploration of this story as a story and the mythology that might be involved in that story. So I want to just thank you all for being a part of that and blessing me with your presence and your energy and your wisdom. So thank you for that as Joe passes those around. Did you want to say anything, Dr. Bird?
You'd like me to, wouldn't you?
I would like you to, because I don't think of anything else to say.
Well, I just want you to know that all of these individuals have a deep commitment to going deeper spiritually, and resurrecting Jesus was quite an interesting topic for a lot of us because there are many perceptions about Jesus and misperceptions, and the book they used was Resurrecting Jesus by Adyashanti.
Adyashanti.
Did I say that right?
Adyashanti.
Adyashanti, thank you. I did take the class.
Did. You were in the group. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's okay. It's okay. So yeah, we did get to explore some of our ideas about who Jesus is, who Jesus was, some of the ideas about the story, And really, we got the opportunity to go into the story and to see ourselves in the story. And I think that was what was empowering for me, to look at the story from a little bit different perspective and to understand how that story can mirror our own story. And we had opportunities to do that and talk about that.
You know, this may take longer than we thought.
I know, right?
So what we could do is, Joe, you could meet everyone at the education table and give them their certificates if they don't have them. And then if any of you have questions about the Wizard of Oz class, you can also ask Joe at the same time. How's that? Let's acknowledge all these people.
Yeah.
Good morning. Called Living in Grace. And I was the facilitator of that one. And if you were in the Living in Grace class, please come up. You know who you are. You're living in grace and you are flowing with ease and gentleness. And Hans, don't be shy. Come on up. And these students also completed a 6-week course. And what we did in the 6 weeks, I'll talk about the class while Reverend David's distributing the certificates, is that we began with the idea from, now I just went blank. Hey, anyway, we started with the notion about what is grace. And in the 6 weeks, really looked at what do I have to let go of to live in grace. And yesterday and Wednesday, the students gave a summary of how they've changed in the 6 weeks. And I wish you all could have heard it because it was very inspiring.
We have one other acknowledgement today that I want to share with you. And that is that those of you who were at our annual meeting heard that Dr. Verne, who has been our president of our board, is stepping down from that position, stepping down from the board. And we want to honor your time on the board and all that you have given to the board and to this community. And we have something that we would like to give you. How about if the board just comes up and we all acknowledge the board and Dr. Verne, and a gift that we want to give to you, Dr. Verne, is this commemorative plaque. If I can get it out of the box. And it says, with love and gratitude from CSO Parker, for your consciousness and service as board president 2021 to 2024. So thank you for your service.
Yay, Dr. Bird!
Each. Felina has the mic.
I am speechless. So I just want to thank everyone. We had a very interesting 3 years where I was president of the board. And the thing I want you to know is that you as a community are very blessed to have these people standing to my left. I'd like to introduce our new president of the board, Jeanette Bennis. Jeanette.
Yay!
Our vice president is Jennifer Drybread, and I don't think Jennifer's here.
Not here today.
Oh, she's not here yet. I mean, she's not vice president yet. Oops. And our secretary is Pam Eichenberger. And our member, and Bob on my far left is our new treasurer. He's the guy you want to thank for all the great abundance we have and will have and continue to grow in the future. Thank you, Bob, for saying yes. And Joe Albers is our board cheerleader, and He is such a great member of our board. Thank you all very much.
Yay.
Thank you. Well, just stay up here one more minute, Dr. Vern, because he also has a special day coming up on Tuesday. It's Dr. Vern's birthday on Tuesday.
What?
So let's honor Dr. Vern by singing Happy Birthday. Let's all stand and sing Happy Birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Vern. Happy birthday to you.
21 again. Anything you want to say?
21 again.
So thank you all for that. And we have a cake to celebrate his birthday afterwards, so please stick around. All right, now our practitioner of the day, Felina, will share a reading with us.
Good morning, you all.
Good morning, you all.
Okay, so we're going to have a wonderful message from Reverend David about the law of supply and demand. And so I know about the law of supply, but I didn't know really how to talk about it. So I looked it up, and it was well worth it looking it up, because I think you're going to really love today's talk. But to tee it off for him, this is what I found. In the vast landscape of universal laws, the law of supply shines brightly as a guiding light toward a world brimming with hope, abundance, and prosperity. Rooted in the belief that the universe is infinitely abundant and generous, this law beckons us to embrace a mindset of sufficiency and plenitude. Inspired by the profound insights shared by Raymond Hollywell in his book, Working with the Law, he embarks on a journey to explore the depths of this law and uncover the boundless possibilities it offers us. If you read the book, you'll delve deeper into the essence of the law of supply. We begin to realize that the profound impact it can have on our mindset, our actions, and ultimately our reality. By aligning ourselves with the principles of abundance and sufficiency, we set in motion a powerful force that propels us toward a life filled with prosperity, joy, and fulfillment. Through the exploration of this law, you will uncover the keys to unlocking your true potential and manifesting a reality that resonates with your deepest desires and aspirations. When we align our thoughts and our actions with the belief in abundance, we shift our mindset toward one of limitless possibilities. So by acknowledging the abundance around us, we can tap into a wealth of opportunities and potential that may have previously gone unnoticed. And please join me in saying, and so it is.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the
So as you breathe into that awareness, closing your eyes to the outer, opening your inner eyes to witness the spirit of life and love and peace and joy that is living itself in its wholeness in this moment as you, delighting in itself as you, awakening unto itself as your conscious awareness of that which you are. As you breathe into that awareness, feel that light at the very center of your being. The heart space. And recognize, maybe say to yourself or aloud, I am the heart of God. I am the heart of Spirit, right here, right now, embodied in this physical form. And every impulse of my heartbeat is a reminder of the heart of the divine that is impulsing me into being. I am the heart of Spirit, right here. And as you allow that light of the Spirit to move through you, every fiber of your being, allowing that light and that energy to move through your hands, through your palms, claiming and knowing and saying to yourself or aloud, I am the hands. My hands are the hands of Spirit, right here, right now on the earth. And all I do is a blessing. All I do is a blessing to the world because I allow Spirit to move me. As you open to that awareness, allow that light to move up into your throat and recognize that you are the voice. Yours is the voice of Spirit. Yours is the voice of love and peace and joy and prosperity embodied right here, right now. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of Spirit, of that divine light and love right now. And as you claim it, as you declare it, as you allow it to be, as you align to that truth, you claim it to be so. And as you claim it to be so, it is so. And let us declare that together as we proclaim, and so is. And take a breath. And let's sing that song together, really owning that truth.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of Spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of Spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world, a blessing. I am a blessing to the world, a blessing to the world. Oh, the bold hands trace a path in the sand, forming places where I'm sure to land. Oh, you make me the shape I'm in, you end. Then you begin again like music from a violin, molding this melody into my bones and into my skin like clay, like clay. And you find stone and you carve above to below. See a line and you make right from the wrong. You make me the shape I'm in, you end. Then you begin again like music from a violin, molding this melody into my bones and into my skin like clay, like clay. Turns that wind me up, curves that'll carve me out of nothing. I am something. Hands that'll wind me up, curves that'll carve me out of nothing. I am something. I am something. Oh, you make me the shape I'm in. You end. Then you begin again like music from a violin, molding this melody, molding this melody into my bones and into my skin like clay. Oh, oh, like clay. You mold me like clay. Oh, like clay.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Luke. It's good to have you with us today. Yeah, it's really great. Thank you. So when we began this month, I said we were going to be talking about the laws. I thought it was time for me, since I've been here a year, to start talking about the science of mind and spirit. That's what I said. And as I reflected on that, I recognized that that came from some place of shoulding. You know? Shoulding on myself about, well, you should start talking about those things. But what I realized this week is that I want to talk about those things. Science of mind and spirit, because it changed my life. Studying New Thought, Science of Mind and Spirit, studying unity philosophy, studying the great teachers, the great masters like Ernest Holmes and the Fillmores, Mary Baker Eddy, Emerson, Troward, all those great teachers from the late 1800s began teaching those things to us. Again, it was nothing new, just a different way of framing the truth. And I tell you what, well, let me tell you what. I dove in. I dove in head first. And I started studying, going to classes and reading, and I would spend hours a week in class and studying and getting that stuff and really learning about this stuff. And then later I got turned on to Jerry and Esther Hicks and Abraham and the law of attraction, and I would spend hours listening to, at that time it was cassette tapes. Anybody remember cassette tapes? I even had this little cassette tape Walkman that I would walk around with. You know, I'd listen to the tapes as I was walking or running in the mornings or doing exercise, whatever I was doing. My little Walkman. Anybody remember a Walkman? Right? And I dug into that. And it changed my life in many ways. It changed the way I see myself. It changed the way I see the world. And it changed the way I interact with the world. And, not the least, it opened me up to the possibility that I really could be in the ministry. But what I realize about that today is that I learned all of that, I dug into all of that because I wanted something. I wanted more money. I wanted a career. I wanted a relationship. I wanted the big house and the car and all of the things. And then the movie The Secret came out, and I thought, wow, that's what it's all about. Let's just get this stuff. Figure out how to get it. Right? And so, man, I got into all of that. You know, it's the scripting and the vision boards and the visualization and all of those tools that we use, right? And then it really changed my life about thinking. I got to that point where I moved from, as Wayne Dyer would say, I moved from that idea of I will believe it when I see it to I will see it when I believe it. I got there. So I learned about these laws of the law of mental equivalence that we talk about, the law of cause and effect, the law of unity. Unity movement calls it the law of mind action, but it's the same thing. What we think about, we put out into the universe responds to that. We get what we want. We get the manifestation of that. And so I focused on that, And let me tell you something. I was listening to this preacher the other day. He said, I'm going to rear back and tell you something. I'm going to rear back and tell you something. It works. It worked. But it was much later in my journey that I really learned about what we call the law of supply and demand, or the law of demand and supply. And I recognized that all of that stuff, all of the learning, all of the tools, all of those practices, everything that everybody was teaching was not so much about the stuff. But that it was about this, it wasn't about this, and I like this idea of the third dimensional experience. It wasn't, it affects that, it does. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's not about that. All of it was about that aligning, attuning to the supply itself. To the one energy, the one source, the one life of all. And recognizing and opening up to be the channel or the vessel through which that life expresses, through our thought, through our actions, through our hands, through our work. And yes, as we do that, as we align to that, as we allow that to be our mind, then what we manifest in the third dimension is much bigger and broader and more expansive than anything our simple minds can conceive of. That is opening up, as the reading said, to the pure potential and possibility of the divine. And that is what all of that other stuff was about. And when we open to that, as the reading said, and as our teaching tells us, and we allow that mind to be our mind and align to those divine ideas and be in service to those divine ideas, what are we going to demonstrate in this third dimensional experience? Everything that reflects the qualities of that divine life. And we simplify it by saying it's peace and love and joy. And all the iterations of that vibration. All the iterations of peace. For me, it's freedom of expression, self-realization, self-actualization. Not the small self, but the God self. We want the things in the third dimension only because we believe they will help us experience that peace and love and joy, right? We want relationships because we believe they reflect love, and they do. They can. You know, we want money because we have assigned money to prosperity, to freedom. But what we really want is to live, is to move from that third dimension, utilize this awareness of this fourth dimensional consciousness where we know we're connected to it all. And we can use the laws. We can understand the laws. We can work within the laws to affect that. But then, how do we then move from even that into a fifth dimensional consciousness, which the master teacher Jesus called the kingdom of heaven? How do we live in the kingdom? The consciousness of heaven, the consciousness of oneness, the consciousness that we are that. We no longer have to use these tools, although they're valuable. I'm not saying we don't use them, we do use them, but can we use them to then connect and align and then move into that consciousness of heaven, where everything is? It already is. How do we do it? How do we get there? Anybody else ask the question? How do we get there? Sounds simple enough. Maybe it really is so simple as there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Maybe it is that simple. Yeah? Because we all want to go home, don't we? We all want to live in that place. How do we get there? Well, this came to me this week as I was thinking about that and meditating on it. I think, again, Jesus, Christian scriptures, give us a clue. And Jesus said, "You will not enter the kingdom until you become as a child." You will not enter the kingdom until you become as a child. And he also said, you must be born again. And we have interpreted that in many different ways, haven't we? But what does it mean to become as a child? What are some of the qualities we recognize when children? Well, one of the things I recognize in children is curiosity. Have you ever been around a child, especially like a 3-year-old or something, and said, well, why? Why? But why? But why? Well, what is that? Well, what is that? What is that? Well, why? Why does a bunny rabbit hop? How does a bunny rabbit hop? Can we open ourselves up to that I don't know mind? We get so centered in our assurance, our knowing that I know what things are. I know how things are. I know who you are. I know what things are. I know. What if we could let go of our attachments to the things we think we know? Because as long as we're stuck in what we know, or what we think we know, it's difficult for us to open up to the possibility and the potential. Even of our relationships with each other. We talked about this in one of our sessions with Reverend Ariana. When I think I know you, I know what you think, especially in our intimate relationships. I've been with you for 20 years. I know what you think. I know what you're going to do next. I know who you are. What if we don't? And be curious. It's opening up to the possibility. I remember when I attended the 9-day intensive with Byron Katie and doing the work of Byron Katie, every morning she invited us to get up and take a morning walk. And we walked around and we were invited to be in the mindset of, I don't know. And it's almost like we were walking as the proverbial Adam and Eve in the garden, and we were seeing things new for the first time and naming things for the first time. Naming things, identifying things, being curious about things. Practice that. See if you can practice that in your own life, even sitting in your own house. You know, one of the very first lessons in A Course in Miracles to ask us to go into that place of, I don't know what anything means. I don't know what anything means. Can we be in that place of curiosity? Another thing that children are is playful. If you're like me, and hopefully you are not like me, when somebody says play, I think, what is that? What is play for me? Am I supposed to go running around in the playground? Am I supposed to be playing softball? Am I supposed to be doing that kind of play? Maybe. I remember as a child how free it was. And my grandmother was on a farm, and we would spend hours running and playing out in the farm and by the creek and looking for crawdads in the creek and playing in the barn, in the hay barn, playing hide and seek and playing in the barn. And hours, you just get lost. You know, by the time it got dark, our mothers would be calling us in, and we were like, why? And I was reading in actually Brene Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection, where she talks about play. And play for us, as I understand it now, is anything that we can engage in that we can get just totally lost in. Where time and space disappears. For some people, it might be music. For others, it might be reading. It might be putting together a puzzle or some project that you're working on. But I want to encourage us to find something, discover something that allows us to play, to suspend our attachment to this time and space, third dimensional experience. Get lost. Suspend time. And just allow yourself to be. And one last thing that I notice about children that sometimes scares the bejesus out of me, and that is how authentic they are. They will tell you exactly what they think, whether you like it or not. They will share where they are with their feelings. They have not yet, the young ones, the little ones, hopefully, have not yet learned how to be self-conscious and try to manipulate. They are raw. They cry when they need to cry. They may lie down on the floor and pitch a fit. Or, as my southern grandmother would say, have a hissy fit. You know, they will just be right where they are. Now, I'm not saying lie down on the floor and pitch a hissy fit, but you could. You could. But it reminds us to be present. Just to be present. Right where we are. And when it is safe to express that, to share that, to be that in great vulnerability and authenticity, I encourage you to do it. And if it's not safe, I think it's important that we find a safe place to do that. Create a safe space to do that. I understand it's not always safe. So all of that is, how do we get to this place of the consciousness of spirit? And you may call it the consciousness of love and peace and joy, of oneness, of unity, of the kingdom, where you know, and you know that you know, that all supply is here, now, present. And your willingness, our willingness to attune to it, to align to it, to be the vessels through which it expresses in the fourth dimension and the third dimension, because it's all intertwined, our willingness is the demand, is the ask. It's not about, it can be getting there, about visualization. It can be all of those tools. But I invite us to use those tools to help us to get into that place of knowing. And then as we open up to that knowing, even what we visualize and what we do our vision boards about, and what we script about to manifest in the third dimension will be more expansive and bigger and broader than we might have ever imagined. Because until we are open and receptive to that mind and creating in alignment and attunement with that mind, we're just going to keep repeating the same thing over and over and over and over. So as we talk about these laws, yes, we use the laws, we attune to those laws, we use those laws, but even more, we are the livingness of those laws. And in the livingness of those laws, I think we will be amazed at the demonstrations. Yeah? Okay, so let's take a moment, take a breath. Allow that breath just to bring your awareness into the now, into this moment. And as you breathe into this moment, I invite you to open. Be that child. Open to your curiosity. What is now? What is moving? Question everything that you think you know. And it is in the question the answer comes. And it is in our willingness to open to curiosity that we understand truly that the answer and the question are one. Curiosity opens us up, suspends us from our knowing, our attachment. Open your heart to the energy of playfulness, suspending time and space, being present, and into your authenticity and vulnerability to be right where you are, who you are, as you are in this very moment. Knowing that all of that, truly is a gateway to entering the kingdom, to going home, coming home, to that space where peace and love and joy abide. Claiming that you are the livingness, the self-livingness of all that we call the laws of life, the laws of the universe. And you are one with the supply of all that is. As you open to be that vessel through which that life lives itself in its fullest expression, fullest possibility in this dimension of time and space. Remembering truly that you are the heart and the hands and the voice of Spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is to be a blessing to all the world. And in that knowing, in this moment, we are so grateful. And let us exclaim and proclaim and declare together, and so it is. So now is a time in our service where we do have the opportunity to share from our good, to support this ministry. Again, I'm going to remind you, as the baskets are passed around, there are affirmation cards in the little cups. So please take one of those as you share. As you're going to share this morning, I invite you to hold what you're going to share in their sacred holy hands. If you share electronically, recurringly, in other ways, just hold that in your heart, in your hands as well. And we open ourselves up to know that we are the flow of that divine life, living itself, expressing itself, delighting in itself in every aspect of our being. And these gifts this morning are an expression of that love. We know that we are blessed as we receive and as we give, and it is one, and together, and so.
From the darkest place to a higher space, calling from every direction. On every single path I have stood strong, then cowered fast. What a strange perception. Well, life is demanding, but I am understanding. The best I could was where I stood for higher good and greater truth. Where once it was covered, well, now I have proof. There's a bigger lesson, one I never expected, rising up from misunderstood. A higher good. Getting ready on steps that are so unsteady, dancing the same old dance
Thank you both. I would invite you all to stand as we really give thanks and bless our offering. So take a moment, truly breathe into that awareness that you are the divine flow, the flow of that all-providing source. As you open, receive, allow, express. And we know that these gifts, offerings this morning, are an expression of that life as it flows through you. We receive them joyously, thankfully. We know that we are blessed in the giving and the receiving. And let us claim together. And so
it is.
Let's do it.
Let's clap. Yeah. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. Let's sing that again. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. We open our bodies to listen. We dream the world awake. We hold the starlight vision. All love is a vow we make. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. We open our bodies. We open our bodies to listen. We dream the world awake. We hold to the starlight vision. All love is a vow we make. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. Last time. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth.
Amen. So it is. Blessings. Have a beautiful week.